Hey, Andrew Main here, and I've got three questions from Alex Fleming. The first question that Alex wants to know is how to find out more about the business side of magic. Well, the first thing you can do, Alex, and perhaps the best thing you can do, is to have somebody you can talk to, a buddy you can get together with and ask these kind of questions and just think out loud with. One of my best friends is Jamie Porter. Jamie Porter runs Magician's Gallery, and he's also a great performer. And once a week we go to P.F. Chang's and we talk about this kind of stuff. I pick his brain, he picks my brain, and it's really, really helpful. Another thing you can do is you want to get hold of every book you can on the business of magic. Not just one, not just two, but every book that's been written, if you can get hold of it, if you can borrow it, buy it, whatever. Read these things because you want to have as much information as possible. A great starting point is Hustle, Hustle, Hustle by Joel Bauer. This is a guy that understands the nitty-gritty of the business of magic and has performed in a lot of different places and has a lot of information. So I would start there. Now, Alex's other question is about the JREF. He wants to know how I got involved with the James Randi Educational Foundation. Well, the short story is that my family had been friends with Randi for years. My dad was a big fan of the amazing Randi, and I'd been involved in magic, and I was also into science. And so when Randi started the James Randi Educational Foundation, I just performed a ton of shows in Japan and overseas, and I was looking to do something different. And Randi wanted to know if I'd be interested using my perspective as a magician to look at paranormal claims, something he's done his whole life. And so I said yes. And so that sent me around the world into different laboratories and to go meet people who claim they had paranormal abilities and to try and find evidence for this. Sadly, none of that evidence ever materialized. As much as I would have wished for there to be something out there, certainly nothing ever occurred or nothing ever happened. Nobody ever passed a test to really prove there was anything there. I did learn an awful lot about how people fool themselves and how the techniques we use as magicians are fooling people every day around the world, leading them to believe some really crazy stuff. So that's how I got involved there. If you're interested in volunteering or working with the James Randi Educational Foundation, their website is randi.org. That's RANDI.org. Give it a look. Randi does a blog. There's a lot of interesting people there. There's a really huge community. They do a convention every year that has over 1,000 people, and they're doing these conventions around the world. So I think it's well worth it if you have that interest. Alex's third question is about a movie called Full Motion Blur that I may or may not have been involved with, and maybe even Justin Robert Young was in. And Alex wants to know, when will this ever be on DVD? Alex, I don't think this movie was meant for DVD. It was made for $99, and it's a pretty good movie for $99, but beyond that, I don't know how watchable, if it's really worth putting onto a DVD. Maybe at some point that'll happen, but for now, I think it's just good for people to know that you can make a feature-length movie, get it into a film festival, and not spend a lot of money on it. As far as any lesson you'll learn by watching this DVD, it'll be things not to do. So Alex, thank you for your questions. If anybody else has a question, send it to Andrew at andrewmain.com, and the subject, put YouTube questions.